In this video, I want to talk about rethinking spectrum levels, how support needs change throughout a neurodiverse marriage. Have you ever looked at your relationship and wondered, what happened? Maybe years ago, your autistic partner seemed more flexible, engaged, more capable of handling life demands. Or perhaps you're the autistic partner thinking, I used to be able to do this, why can't I do it anymore? So many couples interpret these changes as evidence that something is wrong, that something is failing, that someone has stopped trying. But what if neither of those things is true? What if the problem isn't the person? What if the problem is the way we've been taught to think about autism itself? So today, we're going to challenge one of the biggest myths in the neurodiversity world, the idea that functioning levels are fixed, because the truth is that support needs change, and they change throughout the entire lifetime. Understanding this can transform how neurodiverse couples navigate marriage, parenthood, career stress, health challenges, and aging. So let's dive in. Let's talk about the myth of fixed functioning. For decades now, autism was often described using labels like high functioning, low functioning, mild, severe, level 1, 2, 3. Now, while these labels were intended to describe support needs, many people mistakenly interpreted them as permanent descriptions of a person's abilities. The assumption became, well, if you're level 1 today, you'll always function like a level 1. But that's not how human nervous systems work. Think about this. A neurotypical person can usually handle more stress when they're rested than when they're exhausted. They can think more clearly when healthy than when sick. They can solve problems better when regulated than when overwhelmed. Autistic nervous systems work the same way. The difference is that neurological demands often have a larger impact. Support needs are not fixed traits. They're responses to current circumstances, and circumstances change. For example, marriage creates new demands. Many autistic adults enter relationships with routines that have worked well for years. Life may feel manageable, predictable, controlled. Then marriage happens. Suddenly, there's another person's schedule, another person's emotions, another person's expectations. Even positive relationships introduce complexity, more conversations, more compromises, more unpredictability, more social processing. The very skills that allowed someone to function independently may now be stretched in entirely new ways. Neither partner may recognize what's happening. The neurotypical partner sees increased withdrawal and assumes, whoa, he just doesn't care anymore. The autistic partner experiences cognitive overload and thinks, why am I struggling so much with this person? Neither interpretation is necessarily accurate. The nervous system may simply be adapting to increased demands. Now here's another complicating factor. Parenthood changes everything. This is one of the biggest shifts many neurodiverse couples experience. Children introduce uncertainty on a level that few life events can match. Sleep deprivation, noise, interruptions, schedule disruptions, constant sensory input, emotional demands, executive functioning demands, decision fatigue. And many autistic adults suddenly discover that strategies that worked for years no longer work. They need downtime. They need more structure, more recovery, more support. And this often scares couples. The neurotypical partner may feel abandoned. The autistic partner may feel broken. But what if neither is true? What if the nervous system is simply carrying a heavier load? The reality is that raising children often increases support needs for both partners. The difference is that autistic support needs may become more visible. Here's another complicating factor. Career stress. That creates a whole nother shift, doesn't it? Many couples notice major changes during periods of professional pressure. A promotion, a job loss, a business launch, financial strain, organizational restructuring. The brain only has so much bandwidth. When enormous amounts of energy are being consumed in one area, other areas may temporarily receive less. The autistic spouse may come home completely depleted. The neurotypical spouse may interpret this as disengagement. But depletion is not the same as indifference. Understanding that distinction can prevent years of unnecessary resentment. Yet another complicating factor, the midlife recalibration. This is the stage many couples find most confusing. By midlife, people often expect greater stability. Instead, many neurodiverse couples encounter unexpected challenges. Aging parents, teenagers, career plateaus, health concerns, menopause, changes in energy, changes in cognitive endurance, changes in sensory sensitivity. And many autistic adults report that masking becomes harder in midlife, not because they're becoming less capable, but because sustaining compensation strategies becomes increasingly expensive. The nervous system simply says, I can't carry this load the same way anymore. So what looks like regression may actually be increased honesty about capacity. Yet another complicating factor, aging. Aging brings new support needs, doesn't it? The final myth we need to challenge is that support needs only matter during childhood. In reality, support needs continue evolving throughout life. Retirement changes routines. Health conditions affect energy. Sensory processing changes. Recovery times lengthen. Executive functioning may fluctuate. Couples who understand this adapt together. Couples who don't understand it often become trapped in blame and resentment. That's a hard way to live in the last part of your life. One partner keeps expecting yesterday's capacity, and the other keeps trying to perform beyond today's capacity, and neither party wins. Now let's talk about reframing regression. Let's talk about the word many autistic adults fear, regression. For many people, the word feels shameful. It sounds like failure. But what if we looked at it differently? Imagine someone carrying a backpack. Each year, more weight gets added. Marriage, children, mortgages, caregiving, health issues, work demands. Eventually, the person slows down. Did they become weaker? Or did the load become heavier? That distinction matters because shame blocks problem solving. Compassion, however, enables problem solving. So instead of asking, well, why can't you do what you used to do? Try asking, okay, well, what demands have increased? That single question changes everything. Now let's look at a better framework for neurodiverse couples. Instead of focusing on functioning levels, focus on capacity. Regularly ask the following. What is your current stress load? What's draining your energy? What helps you recover? What support would make life easier right now? Notice the wording, right now, not forever. Support needs a dynamic. They are allowed to change. In healthy neurodiverse marriages, couples continually recalibrate. They don't create one relationship agreement and expect it to work for 30 years. They update the operating system again and again and again as life evolves. Now let's look at some practical strategies for recalibration. Here are 3 simple practices every neurodiverse couple can implement. First, conduct quarterly capacity check-ins. Ask each other, what feels manageable? What feels overwhelming? What has changed since our last conversation? Second, distinguish willingness from capacity. Someone can genuinely want to do something and still lack the neurological resources to do it consistently. Third, create flexible support plans. Instead of rigid expectations, build adaptive agreements. When stress rises, what support increases? When demands decrease, what responsibilities can shift back? Think of your marriage as a living system, not a fixed contract. Having said all this, if there's one message I want you to take away today, it's this. Support needs changing does not mean someone is failing. It doesn't mean someone just became lazy or doesn't care anymore. It doesn't mean someone has stopped loving their partner. It means life has changed. And healthy relationships change with it. The strongest neurodiverse marriages aren't built on static expectations. They're built on continuous adaptation. They recognize that neurological capacity rises and falls throughout the lifetime. And instead of responding with shame, blame, fear, they respond with curiosity. Wouldn't that be great? Because when couples understand that support needs are dynamic, they stop asking, what's wrong with you? Or why did you stop trying? And start asking, what do we need now? That question can change the entire marriage. Now, if this video resonated with you, let me know in the comments. What life transition created the biggest shift in your support needs in your relationship? I'd love to hear your experience. Please like, subscribe, and as always, take good care of yourselves and each other. I'll see you in the next video. Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you. Hey guys, this is Mark. Some of you may not know that I have a lot of books on Amazon. So if you like my videos, you'll like my books. I have several for ASD spouses, for NT spouses, and for the neurodiverse couple. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this link. Feel free to click on that link and see what's available. I'm sure you'll find something that applies to you. So if you're struggling in your neurodiverse marriage, help is available, one click away.